Hello everyone! So in Horizon Forbidden West there exists a pretty cool trick known as the infinite jump, which is pretty neat because it's a cool glitch that allows you to basically climb any surface in the game that has a hitbox. For example, like this invisible wall that I'm running up against right here, where you can simply jump up against it like this infinitely. And yes, you can do this against anything that has a hitbox in the game, meaning you can climb literally anything. So in this video I'm going to show you some cool things you can do with it and also teach you how you can do the infinite jumps yourself, cause it's pretty fun to play around with. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so first thing I quickly want to clarify is that I will be referring to this glitch as infinite jumps, or IJs for short. This is simply because in the speedrunning community, when this skip was found, we just started calling it infinite jumps and it's just stuck ever since. But some people also like to refer to this glitch as the wall jump glitch, which probably is a more accurate name. I'm just more used to calling it infinite jumps. But now let me go over a bit of the history of infinite jumps in the game, because believe it or not, infinite jumps has actually been in the game, well, since the game came out. And it's pretty hard to say who even found the glitch originally, because I believe in the speedrunning community it only took 3 hours after the game came out until somebody had already posted a clip of them doing it. So yeah, it was found pretty early on. But that was also mainly because it was super easy to do and something you probably could easily do on accident. However, there were originally some big limitations on the infinite jump, which caused them to not really be that big of a deal outside of speedrunning. These limitations were that in order to have infinite jumps, or the ability to do them, you had to start a completely fresh new game playthrough. And on that playthrough you could do infinite jumps freely. However, you would lose the ability completely to use infinite jumps if you did any of the following things, such as restarting from save, dying, failing a quest objective like being spotted by the burrower here in the stealth tutorial, or just doing something as simple as saving your game and then loading it back up again. So in other words, if you did anything that would cause the last checkpoint to be loaded on your save file, that save file would no longer have access to do infinite jumps, which caused it to be fairly limited, as every time you failed, well, literally anything, you would have to start completely from fresh again. So due to these limitations, many people simply weren't aware of the glitch, other than speedrunners that used it in the intro of their speedruns, until eventually a restart from save would save more time than infinite jumps would. And therefore the trick wasn't used outside of the beginning of runs. But now it's a different story, cause on the current patch, at least of releasing this video, which is 1.18, infinite jumps now works differently, cause now you can just load up any save file you have and do infinite jumps, and there seems to be, well, no way of losing infinite jumps, so everybody has access to them at all times, which is pretty broken, as I'm sure you can imagine. So you can see right here, I just loaded up a random save file and immediately was able to do infinite jumps. So what caused this to change? Because you definitely weren't able to do this on prior patches. Well, I have definitely zero experience when it comes to making video games and almost zero experience when it comes to coding, so there's probably some more educated people that could answer this question. If you know a lot more about game development and coding, feel free to leave a comment below. It could be something as simple as a developer who was probably just cleaning up some code for the patch and didn't realize whatever he deleted or changed caused infinite jumps to go away on checkpoints, and now it's just there permanently. But again, your guess is as good as mine, cause I have no clue. It just works. So what can you actually do now that you have access to infinite jumps on literally any save file? Well, of course, it just makes it a lot easier to traverse the open world and explore places that might have been out of reach for you. Cause, like I said, you can jump up literally any surface in the game as long as it has a hitbox. I was even able to climb up the invisible wall as you saw in the beginning of the video. So let me give you a little bit of inspiration for what you can do with infinite jumps and hopefully inspire you to go out and explore with it yourself. So one of the first things that came to mind when infinite jumps became available on any save file was of course to exploit them to beat relic ruins. Because relic ruins normally require you to do a bunch of puzzles that would eventually get you to a place that you normally wouldn't be able to reach without doing the puzzle. However, with infinite jumps you can simply just get there in most of them by jumping up the final wall at the end. And yes, relic runes do count as completed. Once you pick up the ornament, you don't actually have to do the puzzle.
This thing might be from Las Vegas.
And just to get the point completely across about how broken infinite jumps is, here's me beating one of the longest and probably hardest relic runes in the entire game in under 10 seconds just by jumping along this little wall here and grabbing the ornament.
Here we are. What is this thing?
So yeah, I just wanted to give you an idea of how broken infinite jumps is and how you can use them to skip, well, any puzzle or maybe other game objectives in the game. Who knows, maybe you've been inspired to try and skip something yourself by watching me completely destroy these relic runes.
Got the relic.
But what about using infinite jumps to explore places that you normally won't be able to get to? Well, I think one of the most interesting places to show that off is actually in the intro of the game at the launch facility, because there's a lot of places you normally won't be able to get to. For example, in the beginning cutscene of the game, you'll see Aloy sleep underneath this, what I assume is kind of a watchtower. Well, that area actually is in the game, and you can get to it. Let me show you.
And every night.
So after playing through the game until I was able to craft arrows, because you can't do infinite jumps if you don't have any arrows in your bow, I went all the way back to where the game starts, where you first spawn in with Val and are able to move around. Well, back here you can actually jump up this invisible wall that normally prevents you from climbing up to where Aloy and Val came from in the cutscene, and then once you're over it, you can just walk like normal. You will see this message pop up on screen right here, but don't worry, it won't actually teleport you back unless you go too far away from the play area, so just ignore that message on screen. But then if you follow the path I take here through all these bushes and stuff, you eventually get to the watchtower here where Aloy was in the cutscene. And now, yeah, you can explore it freely as you want. And I'm sure some of you are probably really into photo mode for this game. And in case you're wondering, yes, you can use photo mode here. So feel free to go up here and take some cool shots. And in case you're wondering how Val got up here, well, in the intro he's just programmed to always be close to you, so if you get too far away, he'll just teleport next to you. Either that, or Val just has some extreme magic powers that is only accessible when he has a full-grown beard. I guess we'll never know. Now, further along in the intro, you will eventually come across this Slitherfang or snake machine that will start moving once you get close to it. But you can actually use infinite jumps to get on top of the roof that it's actually crawling on in order to get close to it. And you can even climb on top of it, provided that you go on the left side here. If you go on the right side, it will trigger its movement because it's scripted to move when you come from that side. But here we can just simply jump on top of it, and you can kind of see how scripted this event with the snake actually is. It's especially interesting to see how the snake actually moves once you actually trigger its movement, because you can see that they only really animated the part that would normally be visible to the player.
What is that thing?
I don't know. It might have been what killed those Osram. Keep your guard up.
Oh, my guard is up.
So what if one snake is not enough to impress you guys? Well, how about 3? Because later on in the intro, there is of course the cutscene where we see the 3 snakes sitting underneath the rocket. Well, you can actually get to them with infinite jumps. Now, I'm not actually going to show you the entire route to get to the snakes in this video, because I also kind of want my videos to be a bit of an inspiration, so that once you learn how to do infinite jumps, well, you can play around with it yourself and figure something out. Because what's the fun in it if I just told you how to do everything? So yeah, feel free to go and enjoy the snakes if you can figure out how to get there. Also, since a lot of people are probably gonna ask, let me just answer the question. Well, can you actually fight the snakes? And the answer to that is no. You can shoot arrows at them, but nothing happens. Even though there's an alert sign on screen, these snakes are so scripted that nothing can happen, and your arrows do nothing. As you can see, there's no damage numbers. And a little bit further ahead past the snakes, I was able to break the game a little bit more in case you wanted to see something cool. Because I was able to get underneath the data center where you normally end the intro in with the Travis Tate cutscene. So yeah, you can get to some pretty unintended places using these methods. Cause yeah, I don't think they ever anticipated you getting underneath this data center. And since we're underneath the map already, we might as well walk a little further along so we can see some of the details that are only revealed when you see the world from below, such as some of the chunk borders that makes up the map. So while you enjoy this view, I'm gonna move ahead to the next section of the game, which is of course in Meridian at the Spire. And of course I used the glitch to climb on top of the Spire. Did you really expect me not to do that? Well, Anyway, we're here now, so let's enjoy the view of the good old nostalgic Horizon Zero Dawn map. Also, interestingly enough, the floor at the top of the tower here is not actually solid, so you can just kind of fall through it and go inside the spire. Then here you can slowly make your way all the way down to the bottom and be inside the area the cutscene normally takes place in, where you can see here where Aloy normally climbs through. And then there's actually something interesting, because over here is the override for the elevator, and for some reason it actually works, even though it's supposed to only be in a cutscene. Sadly, however, the elevator doesn't actually activate, or the tower doesn't open up. It only changes the light from red to blue, but still interesting that this thing is actually something you can override. Now, one of the first ideas I had when I learned about the infinite jump was to use it here at the Spire at Meridian to get over the invisible walls, and then maybe explore the rest of the old Zero Dawn map in Forbidden West. Well, the problem is that this entire area here is surrounded by big invisible walls. And yes, you can get over them, but they are so high up that you will just fall to your death. And even if you are playing this game in New Game Plus, you won't have the shield wing to just glide down here. So you need some place to either land on the other side. But even if it is possible to survive the fall to get past the invisible walls, I'm afraid it might not even work. Because on one of my attempts where I tried to get over this invisible wall, as soon as I got over the top, it instantly gave me the black screen that you normally get when you go too far out of bounds, which then sent me back to my last checkpoint. So my assumption is, if you actually get over this invisible wall, even if you could survive the fall and land on the other side, you would probably just get teleported back fairly quickly and wouldn't be able to explore much. But who knows, maybe there is a way, and this could be inspiring to somebody to look for it. But I just wanted to point it out. Anyway, that should be enough inspiration. Now it's time for me to teach you how you can do infinite jumps for yourself. So first things first here, you can only do infinite jumps with a weapon where you can aim and jump at the same time, such as a bow or a sling. For example, if you try to do it with a bolt blaster or a spike thrower, those weapons cannot be aimed while you jump, so therefore it won't work. So I would recommend you just stick to using a bow. Now, next important thing is that infinite jumps only work if you have ammo on you. So if you're out of ammo or have no arrows in your bow, then infinite jumps also won't work. So just make sure you have some arrows loaded in. Now, for the actual method you need to do infinite jumps, it actually depends on what platform you're playing on. Because infinite jumps works differently whether you're playing in 60 FPS or 30 FPS. Or more specifically, PS5 or PS4. So I'm gonna show you a method that works on both consoles. So let's start off by showing you the method you can use on PlayStation 5 as long as you're playing in 60 FPS. So first things first, go to your settings and then go to visuals. Then go to the graphics mode and make sure it's set to favor performance. That way your game will be in 60 frames per second. Because this method I'm about to show will only work if you play in 60 FPS. And it's much easier to do than the 30 FPS method, so make sure you have 60 FPS if you want to do this the easy way on PS5. Then find a big nice wall that you can use to practice infinite jumps on. I personally like to do it here at the Spire and Meridian because there's a big invisible wall right here that we can use. Now, the most important part here is you always want to push Aloy into the objective you want to climb, so I'm always holding my left stick forward here towards the invisible wall. Next thing you want to do is jump and aim. So notice when you jump and aim how Aloy stops in mid-air for a little second there when you're pushing yourself into a wall. That's what we are going to use to get the infinite jumps. So now you just need to get the rhythm down for how you want to use it. So you want to jump, aim, let go of aim, jump, aim, let go of aim, jump, aim, and let go of aim. And again, keep doing this while you're pushing Aloy into the objective that you want to climb. You can see right here I'm actually spamming the X button 3 times each time, because you don't have to just press it once. You can spam the button if you like to. I personally just find it a little bit easier if I press the X button 3 times in order to get the rhythm down. But whatever works for you. You can also use infinite jumps to go sideways here, so notice my analog stick here, I'm still pushing a little bit forward, but I can still go from side to side while using infinite jumps. You just always gotta have a little bit of push into the wall that you're climbing. You can also fall down a little bit and catch yourself with an infinite jump, but do be careful because you do take falling damage if you do so. So just make sure you don't do it from too far of a height, because then you will die. So now it's just a matter of practicing the rhythm. It will take a little bit of time, I'm sure, for you to get it down, but once you get the hang of it, it should be pretty easy. So again, make sure you're always pressing Aloy into the object you want to climb by holding the left stick into it. And then it's just jump, aim, let go of aim, jump, aim, let go of aim, jump, aim, let go of aim, and then you should have it. Alright, so now let me teach you the method you need to do if you're playing on 30 FPS or on PlayStation 4. Now in this clip I'm actually playing on my PS5 right here, but what I have done is I've gone to my settings on the visual and set my graphics mode to favor resolution. That will lock my frame rate to 30 FPS. That way I can simulate what the trick would be like on PS4. So what I'm about to show you will work on PS4, don't worry. Now, first thing you need to do if you're doing this on PS4 is head to general settings and set your weapon wheel slowdown to the slowest setting. That is very important if you want this trick to work. Then you just have to find a nice big wall that you can practice on. I personally like to do it here at the Spire and Meridian because there's the big invisible walls that are easy to practice on. Now this is probably where I'm gonna disappoint a lot of you guys watching this video, because infinite jumps are much harder to do on PS4, but not impossible, so you'll need more practice if you want to do it here at 30 FPS. Now similar to the PS5 method, you always want to make sure Aloy is pushed towards the objective you want to climb, so always hold the stick a bit towards the thing you're climbing, so in this case the invisible wall. Then you want to jump and open the weapon wheel. Important thing is here, you want to open the weapon wheel while Aloy is still going up in her jump, so before she starts falling down again. Then you will notice when the weapon wheel is open, Aloy will kinda just stand in mid-air. When this animation happens, you can then close the weapon wheel, jump, and open the weapon wheel again. And remember, always open the weapon wheel while Aloy is going up, not when she's falling down. Now, full disclosure, I'm really bad at this method on PS4 or 30 FPS, because I haven't really practiced a lot, because I do all my gameplay on PS5. So I'm probably not gonna show it that well to you here, but if you follow those steps I just showed here and are on screen right now, you should be able to do it. Now I will quickly edit in some footage of one of my fellow speedrunners doing it on PS4, so you can see what it looks like when you're doing it really well. So now you should know how to do infinite jumps on whatever system you're playing on. At least I hope it helped you out. If you have some questions, always leave them in the comments and I'll try my best to answer them. Now, before I leave, I quickly want to address the speedrunning part of the infinite jump, because I feel like it's important to talk about since I'm a speedrunner, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering, well, how will this affect speedruns, because I'm sure you can put 2 and 2 together and realize just how effective infinite jumps would be in speedruns. Because there's no doubt that infinite jumps used in speedrun would certainly make the speedrun a lot faster, because it's super easy to climb anything and you could probably use it to skip a ton of stuff. But unfortunately it has kind of put speedrunning in a bit of a limbo state. Now that is because we fully believe, at least in the speedrunning community, and I think most of you watching this video agree, that infinite jump is simply such a broken glitch that there's no way they won't patch it out of the game. So yeah, we could use infinite jumps right now to probably speed up the speedrun a lot and save a lot of time, but once it gets patched out, we will no longer realistically be able to use it. Now this is because of the limitations of the PlayStation console, which is you can't really downpatch a game the same way you can on PC. I'm sure if you have followed other speedruns on PC, you know that sometimes they just used a patch that is neither the first patch of the game or the current patch. But on PlayStation you can only downpatch to patch 1.0 if you have a disc version of the game. You can't just patch to any patch you want. You either are on the current patch or patch 1.0. Now, it is possible to stay on a particular patch where you just don't update the game and maybe disconnect your console from the internet. But obviously this is a very unrealistic expectations to have for pretty much all speedrunners. And that would also limit some people from being able to play the game or speedrun the game that would be new to the community in the future that probably would have upgraded their game to the latest patch. So what we have done in the speedrunning community of Horizon is, since it technically is in the spirit of the game to use infinite jumps to go faster, we are currently allowing people to speedrun with infinite jumps. But under the warning, of course, that if it does get patched, well, all the runs submitted with infinite jumps will be removed. Of course, this leads to some people not wanting to run the game, because again, the glitch is simply so broken that, well, I'm 99% sure, and many others are, that this will eventually get patched. So runs feel kind of pointless at the moment. And we are just kind of waiting for that patch to happen so we can get back to running games as normal. Now granted, there is the possibility that it won't get patched, even though I think most will agree that is very slim. That technically could happen, or it could take quite a while before it gets patched. So in that case, we in the speedrunning community will probably just wait and see after maybe a patch or two comes out. If it's still in the game and still works the way it does right now, then we'll adjust from there and figure out what to do going forward. But until then, again, we are just kinda in a limbo state for speedrunning. I don't think it will affect me much. I'll probably just focus a bit more on doing some challenge runs instead, or maybe grinding some arena where infinite jumps doesn't really matter. So I'll definitely have plenty of things to do, and I'll just get back to speedrunning once we know what the status quo is gonna be. But I'll try my best to keep you guys updated both on my stream and my Discord server as to how things develop if patches come out and there's no fix. But yeah, until then we'll figure it out. I'm also sure that once a video like this come out and the awareness of this glitch, spreads around, then I could very likely see that developers will start making it a priority to get it fixed. Because again, I think you guys would agree with the fact that this glitch is simply so broken that there's no way it'll stay in the game. So for you guys, if you're playing around with infinite jumps, I would also recommend you do it as soon as possible, because again, I'm a firm believer that this will get patched, sooner rather than later. So if you want to play around with it, or maybe use it to get some cool photo mode shots, then you should probably get around to doing it as soon as possible, because I don't think this trick will stay around for long. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope I helped you learn how to do infinite jumps for yourself. If you want to help me out, then leave a like on the video, it really does help. And if you're new to the channel and want to see more videos like this, then consider subscribing. Other than that, I don't have much more to say, so I hope you all have a great day. Take care.